Our reporter Karyn Maughan has just come back from court a short while ago. She's been following the trial, of course, since the very beginning. Karyn, good to have you with us again. And after this break that we had, where court was adjourned for so long, give us a sense of how this morning played out, particularly with the first witness on the scene.
Well, these were two people who testified that they were in fact quite close, that they regarded Oscar Pistorius as friends. Johann Stander telling the court that when he moved into the estate in 2009, Oscar Pistorius offered to help move him. His daughter Karyn, also quite close to Oscar Pistorius, she regarded him as a friend, and actually subsequent to his arrest for Reeva Steenkamp's murder, went to visit him. These were really the first people on the scene. They were previously state witnesses, Gareth. We know that particularly Karyn spent several hours consulting with prosecutor Karyn Maughan. He decided not to call either her or her family. Johann Stander today telling the court that the prosecution had told them that they only intended calling one witness from a family, but neither of them were called. And it became apparent today as to why that was, because they were quite obviously sympathetic to Oscar Pistorius and clearly, evidently believed that this was a horrific accident.
We're seeing Kenny Aldwych in the visuals behind us as well. We haven't seen much from him as far as in court and leading of witnesses or addressing the court itself. Why that particular change as well?
Well, Kenny Aldwych had been prepared to cross-examine some of the witnesses, but strategic decisions are taken all through this process. And we know that he's done a lot of the work in terms of the background examination of the statements. He really is a very powerful second to Barry Roux. But I think that they felt at this point that he would be the appropriate person to get that evidence from Johann Stander. And certainly I think the defense will be quite satisfied with both the performance of Barry Roux and Kenny Aldwych today. That being said, Gareth, the crucial thing to remember here is that profoundly, most of this evidence really wasn't in dispute, and so we wouldn't have really expected massive cross-examination as we will in the coming days when the defense, if and when the defense calls the residents that on the defense's version fundamentally dispute its case.
I find that interesting as well that both witnesses today choosing not to go on camera. No real surprise, I think, particularly with the daughter Karyn, if I'm saying the name correctly, choosing not to because she got quite emotional on the stand as well. Why was that? What led to her getting upset?
Well, she was describing how, this is a young woman. I think she was about 24 years old when this happened. Young trainee attorney, her world in front of her, living in this very sort of, so-called secure state with her family. And one morning getting this call out the blue, and then her friend going to his house and being confronted with the horrific aftermath of what was a horrific shooting. We know that Reeva Steenkamp suffered profound head trauma. I don't think we can begin to imagine what it was like to see that. But she was talking, became very emotional throughout, but she also became emotional when she spoke about how Oscar Pistorius had gone upstairs to look for Reeva Steenkamp's handbag because the paramedics who were treating her had asked for her identity document. And she described to the court how she had this moment of realization where she realized that the gun was still upstairs, and she thought that perhaps Oscar Pistorius could shoot himself, and that she was too fearful to go into the room, and then subsequently he came out. But it was quite an amazing revelation from this young woman that at one stage, because of Oscar Pistorius' emotional state, because of the anxiety of that moment, she believed him capable of taking his own life.
Know more about your world.
eNCA.com